All right, Tom, let's get into the news and rumors roundup of the day. We talked about this a little bit on Tuesday. Randy Gregory, is he coming back?
Probably not. Look, Randy Gregory, and I think correctly so, is getting his life in order right now. He's not really all that focused on returning to the Dallas Cowboys. Now, there's a chance he comes back at some point, but I think overall, the mindset for Gregory, the Cowboys, and Cowboys fans is, hey, if he comes back, cool, but let's not ever bank or assume that Gregory will be coming back, because that's how you get yourself in trouble. You operate next year like, oh, we're going to have Gregory back, he'll be another pass rush option, and then he doesn't come back, and then you're down an area where you need more help because you banked on him coming back when he did not.
Yeah, that one's 1 star, small shred of truth, but don't expect Randy Gregory to be returning to the Dallas Cowboys anytime soon. All right, Tom, let's talk about another guy that everybody likes to talk about. How about Earl Thomas, the Seattle defensive back? Is he coming to the Cowboys?
Again, probably not. Look, Earl
Bearer
Thomas,
of bad news on the Cowboys Report. That's how we're starting it out today.
Yeah, that's just how I'm doing it. And I did this as of late as well. Look, Earl Thomas would be great. I would love to get Earl Thomas on the Dallas Cowboys. I'm sure you guys would love that as well. But this one just doesn't seem likely at all because he seems more intent to get paid by the Seattle Seahawks. I think the Cowboys overall, Brett, I think they're just leverage. That's kind of all I think they are right now for Earl Thomas and the Seahawks. Like, there's just no real need for Earl Thomas to be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go join the Cowboys. He's under contract. He wants to get one more big contract. Maybe farther down the road, Earl Thomas ends up rejoining Dallas, coming back to his home state. But I just don't think it's likely at all right now as we currently sit.
Tom, you are the bearer of bad news on the Cowboys Report, and we're just starting it off with 3 straight 1 stars here. Let's go to the next one here. Aqib Talib, will the Cowboys try and add him if the Broncos were to cut him?
Oh, they're definitely not going to trade for him, so let's ignore that as an option. The Cowboys, and frankly, most teams don't want to take on the $11 million salary that Talib has, and if the Cowboys were to do that, they've got really no other money to spend elsewhere, and why do it at cornerback? They like Chidobe Awuzie. They like Jordan Lewis. They're still kind of high on Anthony Brown, which I don't know if I really agree with. But why would you go invest all of this money in a cornerback when you're probably going to let go of Orlando Scandrick because you don't want him to stop the inhibiting of the progress of guys like Lewis and Awuzie? So at that point, like why would you not, or why would you have any real interest in Talib? Maybe if he comes in super cheap at like a Nolan Carroll type contract, it could make some sense. But I just don't see any interest for the Cowboys' perspective in going out and putting in big money for a guy like Aqib Talib.
All right, Tom, we've been showing the stars. Let's go through our rumor meter. Here's 0 stars. Eagles Super Bowl rings. It's fake news.
We better not have to change this, Brett.
Oh, we might have to change it. It might become real news.
What are we going to change it to, though?
Get your comments in.
Does 1 star become Eagles Super Bowl rings when we think of something new for 0?
No, it's stupid. Okay. No, sorry, Tom, that's stupid.
Tell me how you really feel.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to think about it, and it's sad that I want the Patriots to win this weekend. Anyway, get your comments in. Let us know what 0 stars turns into in the terrible case that the Eagles win the Super Bowl this weekend. All right, 1 star, small shred of truth. 2 stars, the people are talking. Now we're getting into rumor land. It could go either way, 50-50.
Firmly in that rumor category.
Likely. All right, 3 stars. That's pretty likely. 75%. That's how we like to think about it. Yeah, it's looking like it's going to happen. And then 4 stars. It's a fact. Dez caught it. That is our rumor meter. We got a weigh-in for you here. Back to Earl Thomas and Aqib Talib. Tom, if the Cowboys were to do anything in the secondary, it's not likely to be Earl Thomas or Aqib Talib, as we said with the 1 star. Of course, we asked the question here, do you want to add either one of the 2? I think a lot of people would say yes.
I mean, if salary cap wasn't a thing, give me both of them.
Yeah,
but that's not how the NFL operates, especially Earl Thomas. He'd be my first target, but that's not how money works.
Aqib Talib seems like somebody that might be a little bit more trouble than he's worth.
Yeah, look, he always seems to find himself in some trouble. There's always something going on with Talib. There had been some rumblings that he wasn't the best locker room guy last year. He's still very talented, but at an $11 million price tag or in that range, he's just not worth it.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Seen a lot of questions coming through as well. We'll get your guys' comments here in just a little bit. Let's get back to our news and rumors roundup here at number 4. The Cowboys have a new special teams coach, and that's Keith O'Quinn. Tom, tell us about him.
O'Quinn was the understudy to Rich Bisaccia. Now he takes over as the full-time special teams coach. And this just kind of makes sense to me because you lost a guy you didn't want to lose in Rich. Why not promote the guy that he had been kind of grooming and had been his understudy? That kind of mindset, I think, is good sense there for the Cowboys. You had success with the guy who left. you can promote his understudy, his assistant, to the assistant.
Assistant to the assistant, all right. Hey, more coaching turnover. The Cowboys are getting close to being done with the coaching turnover.
Very close.
But another news item here is the fact that they hired linebackers coach Ben Bloom. Tell us about him, Tom.
Bloom's had a couple different roles with the Cowboys staff. He was also the assistant to the linebackers coach in Matt Eberflus, so it's the same type of mold. Promote the guy that you had kind of waiting to take over in the event that you lost the guy you didn't want to lose, or for Eberflus, if he was promoted fully. So Bloom is fine. These are not going to be the earth-shattering additions that maybe some people wanted to see. He's no John Pagano. He, of course, he went elsewhere, but in the end, this was a good hire for the Dallas Cowboys. It's not going to drastically change their outcome, but they didn't need to restart it here with these positions. You were fine to go ahead and just promote somebody else in their stead and have an understudy take over in the role that he was kind of groomed for, more or less.
So we're going to take a look at the defensive side of the ball in terms of the coaching staff. All of the key positions are now filled. Of course, Leon Lett and Greg Jackson are returning. Marinelli is returning as well. And then the new additions, Ben Bloom, Chris Richard, and Keith O'Quinn, fill out that defensive coaching staff. Tom, overall thoughts now that it's filled in?
This is a really good defensive coaching staff. I still really like Rod Marinelli. We'll see how long Leon Lett hangs around there. Ben Bloom, I like. I don't know how great he's going to be, but again, he was a lesser option in the end for the Cowboys because he's no Eberflus, and that's okay there. Richard, I love. That is the one big hire there for the Dallas Cowboys. That is a huge addition, and in theory, he could eventually take over for Marinelli as the DC. And then, of course, the offensive side here, too.
Yeah, we'll look at the offensive side of the ball here. Linehan returning. Kellen Moore in at quarterbacks coach. Gary Brown's back. Sanjay Lal, new wide receivers coach. The tight ends coach, Tom, still the open slot. And, of course, Paul Alexander, the offensive line coach. Now, Tom, there's been some rumblings around the tight end spot, but still a spot that is yet to be filled.
Mark Colombo is the only guy that we know has interviewed. And might be a couple others, but when we hear word of that, we'll update you guys. But as of right now, that's the one spot that is yet to be filled.
All right, back to our news and rumors roundup. We've got a full slide of 4-star news items for you here. Jaylon Smith's drop fit. Yeah, drop foot. Drop fit? Drop foot.
Potato?
Yeah, sure. It is improving. He talked to scouts Mike Fisher this morning. It sounds like things are going pretty well for Jaylon in his recovery.
This is really good news for the Cowboys. This means that the nerve is continuing to regenerate. It's not fully there yet, and that was really going to be the process all along. It's not supposed to be fully healed by now, but he says he has more power, more flexibility. Getting that drop foot issue faded is a good thing for Cowboys and Jaylon Smith because it means he's going to be closer to the guy we saw at Notre Dame, and the guy we saw at Notre Dame was a better prospect in my eyes than Reuben Foster was.
Right.
Now the injury, of course, changed all that. We know how good Foster looked when he was on the field.
Yep.
So Smith getting healthy is huge for the Dallas Cowboys, and I think we'll know how confident Dallas is in Jaylon Smith based on what they do with Anthony Hitchens. If Hitchens gets more money elsewhere and the Cowboys don't spend to sign somebody else, it means, okay, we think Jaylon Smith is going to be good to go. He's going to be the linchpin of our defense going forward. That drop foot, again, is a big deal. More or less, those that don't know what it means, it kind of meant the foot wasn't able to kind of go up on its own. Like it was almost like it was always numb and it wasn't responding properly because of the knee injury.
He said in the article that he needed to use 2 hands to put socks on in the morning. One for the sock and the other to hold the foot in place because he couldn't do it on his own.
Basically limp.
And frankly, I mean, you look at his 2017 stats, a really impressive season from Jaylon Smith, and he seemed to get better and better and better as the season went on.
Totally did.
All right, let's keep going. We're getting better and better in our news items here. A little rumor. Oh, by the way, this is the Dez Bryant portion.
This is the
set expectations.
Dez Bryant portion.
Number 7 here. Is Dez Bryant, quote unquote, done for?
Yeah. This one, Brett, is fake news.
Fake
Come on,
news, guys.
Jermichael Finley. Jermichael Finley, former Packers tight end, comes out and says, I think Dez is done for. That's one of my guys, but he knows I'm honest. The Cowboys are serious. They'll take away that $14 million. Like, I don't understand how you can say Dez Bryant is done for. Like, it's one thing to say that Dez Bryant is no longer the same elite receiver we saw. I think that's very fair and frankly very accurate. But to say a guy who had 838 yards is done for, that just doesn't make any sense. That's just not accurate.
Just anybody can say anything these days, right, Tom?
I just don't understand it. Look, I know that maybe Dez isn't the best fit for the Cowboys. Thank you, Brett. I'll give you a nice gesture later after we
when we get back on screen.
No, I'm not going to do that because I don't want you yelling at me after the show for being inappropriate. But Dez Bryant is not done for. He's probably not the same player he once was. That's fine. But to say he's done for, it doesn't make any sense.
All right, Tom. Well, let's go to another Dez item here. Would cutting Dez help Dallas make the Super Bowl? What do you got for me, Tom?
This is also fake news. It comes in, believe it or not, from NFL.com. Greg Rosenthal wrote this and said the one thing the Cowboys can do to help them make the next year's Super Bowl is to cut Dez Bryant, which frankly is up there. We've heard a lot of dumb things on the past year or so. This is up there. And Greg wasn't even like arguing, oh, this is going to make them better. It's like, this shows that they're not the same old Cowboys, that they're not going to be devoted to retaining players too long. They just did that with guys like DeMarcus Lawrence and Tony Romo.
Is that your NFL.com voice?
It was a deep voice because I'm very smart. I have not busted out my 5th grade child voice yet because people just don't want to hear that. But this just, I don't understand why people think this makes any sense because it doesn't. You cut Dez Bryant, you get objectively, subjectively, whatever objectively you want to use, worse. How do you replace Dez Bryant? Oh, you save $8 million. You're not going to get a receiver of that quality. And it also pigeonholes you in to drafting a receiver early who's not as good as Dez Bryant. I get what Rosenthal's trying to say, like he doesn't want the Cowboys to be the old school of having ownership make the decisions, but like the Cowboys haven't done that. Like, they are not being run by Jerry Jones in the same way that they used to be. This is not an example of the Cowboys sticking too long with a player. It just doesn't make sense from a personnel perspective. And to say it helps them get to the Super Bowl is just dumb and wrong.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
it's
we made the argument that last week that cutting Dez is not in the best interest of the Dallas Cowboys for the 2018 season. Beyond that, it could make sense. But if the Cowboys think they can still win in 2018 and make the playoffs, they need to do it with Dez Bryant. Now, we would come up to the next Dez item here, and that should Dez take a pay cut. And now that might be a conversation worth having.
I think it is a conversation worth having, and that's why we're going to go ahead and give this one 3 stars because it does make some sense that Dez Bryant should make a pay cut. Drew Pearson, OG88, is the one pushing forward here. Pearson says if he can just put his ego aside a little bit and realize that playing, about $18 million, that he'll take that. He should take that. He'll still be effective and up there among the salaries for wide receivers. I'm only giving this one $8 million. Excuse me. I'm only giving this one 3 stars though, Brett, because it makes sense for the Cowboys. If Dez wants to be a team first player, yeah, he should probably also do this. But here's the thing, like from a perspective of only Dez, why should he take a pay cut?
Why should he take a pay cut?
Like,
I agree.
Like, you sign the contract, pay me what I get paid, or cut me and we'll negotiate a little bit. Like, it's, from Dez's perspective, he's right to not want to take a pay cut.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if the Cowboys want him to take a pay cut, then Dez should force the Cowboys to cut him, and he should go and see what he could get in the market. Now, he might not get a good answer on one that he likes, but if that's the stance that you're going to take, that's the game of chicken that you'd have to play, the game of poker, if you will.
And Pearson, this is the part I disagree with him on. He said he shouldn't be worrying about a pay cut because the key to his contract is the $45 million guaranteed bonus. And I firmly disagree with that because, no, you also sign a contract that gives you a base salary. Like, it's not just about the guaranteed money. That's what matters in the most in the end. But I don't think it's fair for other people to say, hey, Dez, you should take a pay cut. It's one thing for the team to do it or for us to say maybe it makes some sense, but saying that he shouldn't worry about it, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, you signed your contract. We so often say it's okay for the team to say we're not going to pay you as much, for the receiver to say no, pay me as much. I disagree with that. At times we're a little too skewed to saying, oh, the team is always what matters more. Like, this is Dez's money. Like, let's allow him to make his money in the end there.
Seeing a lot of comments flowing through. Appreciate you guys joining us on today's Cowboys Report right here on Dallas Cowboys by Chat Sports. Like the page if you don't already. You'll be here with us every week on the Cowboys Report. And Tom's got 2 mini Cowboys Reports on Sunday and Tuesday as well. James says, yes, 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 cut Dez. Victor, this one made me laugh a little bit. No production, pay us.
I would like to be paid. You can pay us.
Yeah, you can pay us.
The other thing, wait, is that us or IGS?
I don't know.
I don't know what that is. Anyway,
I'm going with us.
But there was production. Like I know it's.
I and Jay are close on the keyboard.
I know that the production wasn't the same that we've seen from Dez in the past, but it's also way better than anyone else on this team. Like what? All of a sudden you're going to make Bryce Butler and Terrence Williams the top receivers? Like you're not going to be able to properly replace Dez with the money that you save. That's why I don't like the idea of cutting Dez Bryant. Now, we can have this discussion again next year. Maybe it makes a little bit more sense.
Timothy's saying Bryce Butler is a number 2 receiver behind Dez. Cowboys would have to re-sign him, and remember, he said he's not going to sign where he's not a starter.
Bryce Butler has yet to top 350 yards since high school. I think at a certain point you are what your production says you are. And oh, by the way, he had more drops based on the targets and catches than Dez did. We just don't remember them as well because he didn't get the same volume.
One more comment here I want to get to, and then we'll move on. William Marshall, if Ridley, the Bama wide receiver, falls past 5, could the Cowboys go up and get him?
I think if you're the Cowboys and you're looking for a trade up for a guy like Calvin Ridley, who I do like and would be a really good fit there, I think you would have to start considering it only after he falls past the Bears. Because it's going to cost too much draft capital to go up and get him in the top 5 or even in the top 10.
Do you think the Cowboys have the draft capital to do it?
I mean, they do. They can do something similar to what you saw with the Morris Claiborne move, but it's also whether or not you want to give up all that draft capital when you can get a guy who's not quite as good but can still be a good player for you in, say, round 2.
So there you go. That was the Dez portion of our News and Rumors Roundup. Let's get to a few more. How about the Cowboys hosting another Super Bowl?
This one, I actually think this one has a pretty good chance of happening, Brett, because I would like to see this one happen because we've seen the Cowboys host Super Bowl and they kind of got the short on the stick because it happened to snow, and it was weird because
it was weird.
And there was a lawsuit. That was the other big thing because the seating did not go very well.
Yeah, that one was weird. A huge ice and snowstorm the week of the Super Bowl. Highway 114 heading to the airport was completely iced over.
Yeah, it was rough.
Getting out to Arlington was such a mess. But look, AT&T Cowboys Stadium is the best stadium in the league. How could it not get into the rotation for the Super Bowl?
I would be stunned if it didn't get in. Look, the first open date is 2023, and here's the big thing for the Cowboys and the NFL. You can put more fans there.
Yeah.
All right. You can put a bunch of fans in there. You know that the city is going to work well as a host site. It makes a ton of sense. I'd frankly be surprised if the Cowboys didn't host another Super Bowl unless Jerry and Roger continue to fight. But by then, you would imagine Goodell's probably actually going to be out as commissioner, which is what he said he plans on doing.
All right, number 11 here on the list, Jason Witten. He is returning for 2018. Not a surprise. This is an easy 4 stars coming straight from the Cowboys.
Witten said he's going to come back, and he still believes in the Dallas Cowboys. This was, again, not a real surprise at all. We all kind of knew this was going to happen. But Witten mentioned it again. We thought it was worth mentioning again. Yep. He is going to turn 36. I don't know how much longer he actually has left as an NFL tight end, especially as a starter. But his contract is very friendly to the Dallas Cowboys. There's no more guaranteed money left, so it's $6.5 million each year he wants to play, which is fair money for Jason Witten. And once he decides to retire, he just has to wait until he's a Hall of Famer, and boom, done. There we go.
I mean,
he should be first ballot.
Well, duh. And the fact, I mean, he had a good season in 2017. He was still a very reliable receiver for the Cowboys and Dak Prescott.
He's not peak Dak or peak Jason anymore.
No, of course not. But he's still your guy. And I mean, he was out there on the field doing everything and more than James Hanna ever would. So Jason Witten, certainly the GOAT. And if you caught the Cowboys Report on Tuesday, Tom did name him as the Cowboys' #1 receiver of all time. Tom, you are consistent in that you have kept that going. All right, one more news/rumor to go through here. Are the Cowboys the best fit for Sammy Watkins? I love this one to end on here, Tom.
Yeah, this is a really interesting one, and if only that had come out last week, it would have been perfect if it went to offensive free agents. But this coming in from Pro Football Focus, they released their free agency guide, and I got some real question marks on their guide because I don't hate the fit of Sammy Watkins and the Dallas Cowboys because in a bubble, I would love to get Sammy Watkins and the Dallas Cowboys, but it's only 1 star because I don't see the Rams letting him go. But most importantly, the PFF's projections for money just made no sense. And this was kind of true as they got beyond some of their – I think what they did was they based it off of grade and production, which we know isn't the best route to go for a guy like Sammy Watkins, who didn't have the best production, didn't have the best grade, even though he scored a lot and drew a bunch of attention. So they projected him at $2.5 to $3 million guaranteed per year. Now that's not total salary, that's just guaranteed, but for the most part, it comes in at 50 to 60% unless you have a different type of contract there. So with this one, let's just say 50%. That means we're looking at about $6 million per year for Sammy Watkins.
Right.
That's Travis Benjamin money. Sammy Watkins is not getting Travis Benjamin money. You can go ahead and double that, and that's why it doesn't make any sense.
We used PFF to help to help go through certain position units.
And look, PFF in the end is a nice tool in the process of evaluating different things and the way to go about and finding, some areas, maybe offensive line, defensive line, that doesn't always pop out quite as much on tape. And it is a subjective grading. I looked at the Bleacher Report NFL 1000. It was different as well than what we saw from the PFF grades. So PFF is a nice tool, but it is not the be-all, end-all. And I don't think Sammy Watkins on that end really makes sense as a $2.5 to $3 million annual guarantee. He's going to get more money, and I know they kind of plugged it into their spreadsheet and said, okay, here's his grade, here's his production, we'll compare to other players, here's what he's going to get. Spotrac had something similar in the end, but that's all numbers-based. It doesn't really factor in how teams are going to view Sammy Watkins, and we saw what the Rams gave up for Sammy Watkins. So it'd be fun. If the Cowboys could get Sammy Watkins at like $6 million a year, I'd do it in a heartbeat. But here's the thing. He's going to get way more on the open market, so that's why it's only 1 star. It just doesn't make enough sense on that end.
All right, that's our Cowboys news and rumors roundup for February 1st.